You know those people who can just walk into a room and it's like magic? They connect with everyone so effortlessly. What is their secret? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain. We are diving deep into Leil Lowndes' classic book, How to Talk to Anyone, to give you some of her absolute best, most practical techniques. This quote right here, this is basically the entire philosophy of the book in a nutshell. It's all about this massive shift in your focus, getting the spotlight off of yourself and shining it right onto the other person. It's about making them feel like they're the most important person in the room. So, that's really the question, isn't it? As we go through these tricks, I want you to think about that. Which person are you right now? And more importantly, which one do you want to be? It's a tiny change in your mindset that, trust me, has an absolutely huge impact. All right, first up, let's talk about the silent impression. This is all the stuff that happens before you even open your mouth. Because believe it or not, your most powerful communication often happens without saying a single word. Okay, check out this cool concept, the flooding smile. So instead of that quick, kind of fake-looking grin we sometimes do, this is a smile that builds slowly. It floods across your face. Lowndes tells this great story about a woman whose dad told her, "Honey, your smile's too quick." So she actually learned to pause, look at the person, and then let this warm smile spread over her face. People saw it as way more genuine, and it had this incredibly powerful positive effect. Next, we've got a technique that is so simple, but it works wonders. It's called sticky eyes. In the book, there's this story about a salesman named Sammy who completely changed how people saw him just by holding eye contact for like 1 or 2 extra seconds after they finished talking. That tiny little act communicated so much trust, respect, and a real interest that just made people feel incredibly seen and valued. So, how do you get that confident posture? Forget your parents telling you to stand up straight. Try this weird but amazing mental trick from the book. I want you to visualize a leather bit in your mouth, just like a circus acrobat, and imagine it's pulling you straight up to the ceiling. You will literally feel your whole body transform in an instant. Your posture just screams winner. And really, it all comes down to this. Every single move you make is telling a story about who you are long before you've even said hello. Your smile, the way you hold eye contact, your posture, they're writing the first chapter of every single interaction you have. Okay, so you've nailed the silent impression. People are already intrigued. Now, it's time to actually talk. But how do you kick off a great conversation without falling into those same old boring traps? Oh, we've all been here. You're at an event, maybe a party, and someone comes up to you and asks that one question. The one question everyone dreads. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yup, there it is. So what do? It just feels so transactional, almost like a judgment. And for a lot of people, maybe they're between jobs, or maybe they just hate defining themselves by their 9 to 5. It can be super uncomfortable. It's a conversation killer. So what's the pro move? The top communicators, the book calls them big cats, ask this instead, and it is brilliant. How do you spend most of your time? It's great because it hands the control over to the other person. They can talk about their career, sure, but they could also talk about their kids, their hobbies, their passions, whatever they want to talk about. It's just a more sensitive and, frankly, a much more interesting way to start a real conversation. Okay, the conversation is officially started. Now, how do we keep it going? More than that, how do we build a real, genuine connection? Well, here are a couple of simple but incredibly powerful ways to build that rapport. This might just be the easiest trick in the entire book, and it's shockingly effective. It's called parroting. All you do is repeat the last few words the person said, but kind of like a question. It does 2 things. It proves you're listening, and it encourages them to keep talking, all without you having to come up with some brilliant follow-up question. So, for instance, the author uses this to get her friend Phil to tell her all about this play he just saw. She'd just say, theater, and then, great show, and then, Sweeney Todd. Each little parrot question keeps him going, and he probably walked away thinking, wow, that was one of the best conversations we've ever had, and she barely said a thing. Here's another fun one. Become a word detective. As you're listening to someone, just hunt for a word that seems a little unique or out of place. The book gives this awesome example of a woman named Mrs. Otis, who just sort of randomly mentioned the word plants. The nurse picked up on it, asked her about it, and bam, Mrs. Otis just lit up, talking for ages about her past life as a gardener's wife. That one little word was the secret key to a real connection.
So, you've started a great conversation. You've built some real rapport. The last step is making sure that when you do walk away, you are remembered for all the right reasons.
And hey, before we get to our last technique, just think about this for a second. This isn't just about being popular at parties. According to some major studies from the Carnegie Foundation, a whopping 85% of your success in life comes directly from these kinds of skills. So yeah, this stuff really, really matters. And that brings us to the final crucial shift. And it all comes down to the most powerful word in the English language, you. See, our brains are hardwired to constantly ask, what's in it for me? So instead of framing things from your perspective, flip it and frame it from theirs. A simple I-focused statement like, I think you'd like this restaurant, becomes a powerful you-focused one. Since you love spicy food, you'll love this restaurant. It connects directly to them and makes them feel completely understood. And that, my friends, brings us right back to the beginning. It all comes back to this one choice. The next time you walk into a room, who are you going to be? Are you going to make it about you, or are you going to make it about them? The answer to that question, when you really practice these techniques, can honestly change everything.